Okay, it's Wednesday, June 18th. We've all been watching what's going on with Iran and Israel. Israel attacked Iran out of a sense of preemptive self-defense, which is not a thing. That doesn't exist in the law anywhere or international law anywhere. They just made it up to justify bombing another country. You know, and this is completely splitting Trump's MAGA base. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. But first, I wanted to just mention it's like, in what universe does one country get to tell another sovereign nation what weapons they are allowed and not allowed to have? That's a thing that I've not heard anybody discussing. I am no fan of the Iranian leadership in their clerics, in their military. But from everything that I've read about the Iranian population, it's a country of over 90 million people. They would very much like to go back to being a free society. They're being prevented from doing that right now because of the current autocratic theocracy that they're all being forced to live under. That having been said, it's just like, where do we get the balls to tell other countries what weapons they're allowed and not allowed to have? I've never really, nobody's ever really given me a good answer to that question. I'll put it that way. Anyway, there is a civil war going on in MAGA right now, and Colby Hall at Mediaite had a really good summary of it, and I wanted to go through that and share that with you guys about how MAGA media personalities and some elected Trump humpers are tearing each other apart over this question. And I know that Republican Thomas Massie from Kentucky is currently working with Democrat Khanna from California, drafting legislation that will aims to prevent or prohibit Donald Trump from launching any kind of unilateral military action against Iran. That is still pending. I don't even know that it's been assigned to a committee or that it's been fully drafted yet. But there are elected Republicans who are not on board with this. And there are members in the Republican media who are not on board with this. And so let's dive in. And you know, one thing that I will give Donald Trump credit for up until now, he has not been a pro-war candidate or a pro-war president. He didn't start any new wars during his second term. He campaigned on that during his second term, or during 2024. He campaigned on being anti-war in 2016 and against the Iraq War and calling out George W. Bush. But, you know, he also did shit like he badmouthed John McCain. And he's like, I like heroes who weren't captured and that kind of crap. You know, so he took on being anti-Iraq War, anti-Afghanistan war. And, you know, he had 4 years to put an end to the Afghanistan war and didn't do it. Although he tried during the final weeks. He just ordered his generals to bring all the troops home with no plan, basically. But this is dividing MAGA. Half of them are supporting this. Half of them are like, this is awful and terrible and should never be permitted to happen. So reading from the report, for nearly a decade, Trump could count on lockstep loyalty from the MAGA media industrial complex. Now the gloves are off. Firebrands who once cowered in fear of defying Trump are now speaking out publicly, like Tucker Carlson is attacking Sean Hannity. Mark Levin is attacking Tucker Carlson. Ari Fleischer, who was George W. Bush's press secretary. They're all just going after each other in very, very public and very kind of incendiary kind of ways. Mark Levin, Fox News host, he's pushing hard for this. He recently had dinner at the White House. He insisted that Iran was days away from a nuclear weapon. a claim which Trump's own intelligence people have disagreed with. He's been attacking Tucker Carlson relentlessly. He's been attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene. Then we get Charlie Kirk, who was kind of on the fence when this first started. Now he's full MAGA. He's citing Bible verses in justification of the war. And this is going to him, this is going to become a new litmus test for MAGA. Whatever Trump says is right, and you better agree with it. Then we have whack job Laura Loomer, who has a disturbing amount of influence within this White House. She is taking it on as her own personal mission to root out online everywhere people who are not sufficiently loyal to Donald Trump, especially on this question of going to war with Iran. Sean Hannity's just being a hard ass about it. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, period. End of sentence. He's just being black and white about the whole thing. He's urging Trump to bomb the hell out of Iran. His audience loves that kind of unapologetic hawkishness. The establishment guy, Ari Fleischer, I mean, he was in the White House when we got the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. And so he's part of that neocon group that so many MAGA people want to be free from and are disgusted by. And then we get the Fox News echo chamber in prime time. It's like Jesse Waters, Laura Ingraham, Greg Gutfeld, and Sean Hannity. Their nightly broadcasts pound out support for Israel, condemnations of Iran, and all of their guests are pro-war. And there's a New York Times article that was out yesterday that I'll do a separate video about, basically saying that Donald Trump's position on going to war with Iran changed in large part because of the coverage he was seeing on Fox News. Because they made it look sexy, and he was feeling some FOMO and wanted to, get on board and take credit for it. Then we have the anti-war crowd, Tucker Carlson, who had a great quote about Mark Levin that I think is remarkably accurate. When Mark Levin gets on TV, it's like listening to your ex-wife scream at you about alimony payments. And Tucker Carlson is being blunt and upfront and saying that this is a betrayal of America first. It is a betrayal of MAGA's core principles. Trump's been going after him, calling him kooky. And it's a tricky spot for Carlson because his audience is very, very pro-Trump. And, so he's walking that tightrope right now. Then we have convicted felon Steve Bannon, who he has declared war on the globalist neocons who are backing Israel. And he's now saying that Trump's actions are fitting hand in glove with said globalist neocons. Globalist is their code word for Jews. Even though he claims to be super pro-Israel. And, he's making a lot of the same arguments that Tucker Carlson has been making. They've been interviewing each other and agreeing with each other. And then there's Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's anti-war, and she's just an attention hound. She just wants the attention. Then we get the Bozo Patrol. Jack Posobiec, Candace Owens, Mike Cernovich, Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder recently tweeted, "I can't wait for my kids to die for someone else's sandcastle." And, this is not unity under Trump. It is a live foreign policy trial by combat. The hawks and the isolationists aren't just debating, they're dueling. Each claim amplified through Fox's Fractured Walls, Bannon podcast, Tucker's show, Truth Social, and other outlets. The MAGA tent once held certainty, Israel good, Iran bad, bombs for peace. And now all of that is unraveling in real time. They're tearing each other to pieces. I do have to say it's fun to watch, but it's also incredibly dangerous. And Donald Trump is just playing at bombing people for fun, which is incredibly dangerous and fucked up.